Hello all to our release webinar of PTV xServer API version 2.12. Great, you are all joining us for this. For your information, this session will be recorded and will also be available afterwards. Majorly PTV internally, but we'll see what we can release of this. Also, welcome to our not only to our sales colleagues, but also to our customers joining this session. You're able to ask your questions in the chat panel. So we have dedicated colleagues looking into the chat and answering your questions right on the spot. So we should be covered. And now let's start with the webinar itself. Hello once again from our side. The 2.12 release will be presented by the product management team. The product management team is Isabel Hornickel. She's present here.
Hi, everybody.
Myself, Daniel Möwes, and also Steffen Kieseker, who is not present at the moment. So it's us telling what's new. So let's go into the agenda. What we will see today is some general news in the framework and surroundings, routing, trip planning, load optimization, and some special points from xServer Internet. First of all, general points. We had two major changes in our xServer framework, starting from the API version 2.12, or from this release on. We do support various different Java distributors. That has a few implications. First of all, we do not ship any Java within the xServer, what we did until now. And the positive side of this, we are still on the Java framework 1.8. And xServer is able to run on Oracle Java, which was the default until now, but also on open Java JDKs like Corretto or others. If you have a pre-installed Java 8 on your host system, you can already use that without any changes. And we also released a blog post on this topic. You can just read that for further informations and also have a little installation guide in our xServer manual. It's quite easy to install. If you have an installed Java JDK or Java runtime environment is enough. It's 8 installed on your server. You can just refer an internal xServer Java home environment variable to that, and you're set. So that's the Java topic. The next is we updated our standard shipped profiles to DataCompatibility version 2. The DataCompatibility version is the profile version based on which base speeds are shipped within our standard PTV map products. We're now in the situation that we only ship new maps, PTV maps in DataCompatibility version 2. With this change, we increased the quality of base speeds in our map products. And now since we ship all our map products with this DataCompatibility version, we also changed the default in our xServer to this. So if you use standard profiles with our standard map deployment, you are now don't have to copy any profiles back and forth. You just have to take care if you have user-specific profiles that you adjust them accordingly to the new data compatibility version. So that's it from the framework side. In routing, we now offer a RESTful API. That's a simplified API. Of course, you can still use the generic xServer, xRoute API if you want to have the full feature set. But if you have a web application just covering the geographical services, you can now do geocoding, map display, and routing, all with REST calls. You see, the REST call is just your server. You analog to the rendering API. You just put in your start and destination, and you get a routing. And we also have an integration sample for that. You see in the integration samples, in calculating a route, if you scroll down, you see the third one is the calculating a route with a new REST API. That's basically it. And you can even request your polyline, but that's just it. You see, it's reduced, and if you have several waypoints, you just request several routings from each waypoint to the next waypoint, and you get all the route via that if you want to. In trip planning, we had a topic last time in the 2.11 release where we introduced the feature with alternative depots, calculating alternative depots with the plan tour method. We extended this, that it's now also available for dispatching and for the Vorschlagsfunktion. So you can use this functionality in all three method classes. That's just an addendum. We also now support precombined trips with group IDs. There you see the use case is usual, like Let me reset this showcase quickly. Great. Until now, we calculated each order in one pot, so you can optimize your whole fleet. But what you're now able to set or preset group IDs for each order. In this case, all the red dots are orders with a particular group ID. The blue ones are another one, and the black ones are even another one, a third category, as you see here. Until now, we would just optimize them in one pot, and you can now separate them by order ID if you want to just have those on one trip. You can separate them and they get calculated separately. That's the first step. And you can even say, if you set this one group per trip flag, that you only want one trip per group. You see in this example that the group ID 2 results in 2 trips, and if you just want to have one trip, you can set this in addition to that, and you will then plan exclusive trips with these group IDs and exclusive trips, just one per vehicle. And you can see here, he plans this vehicles exclusively. You can also set this group IDs for the vehicle on the vehicle side, so you can specify which vehicle should serve a particular group ID. So that's that for your predefined trips. And our last topic in trip planning is we added some convenience feature. We now also have lag reports in our tour report entry. You already got this information, but you got it in your tour events, and you had to gather them separately. And now we have them conveniently in the lag report entity, so you get them in the result, and you don't have to gather them and add the accumulative reports by hand. So that's it for trip planning. And the last thing, we had some additional features done in our load optimization module. We now support additional stacking restrictions by item type and unloading sequence. So as you probably know, our load optimization, let's just jump into the showcase. Looks something like this. You can plan cuboid defined items or item types, and you can optimize them by loading meters or layered. So if you optimize them by loading meters, he tries to reduce the distance between the loading board in front, and he would prefer stacking if that's allowed. And for the layered use case, he lays them out and avoids stacking, so to say. And now we have additional restrictions we support. Let me just pop that out in a new window, so we have a bit more space to show the additional stacking. With the additional stacking restrictions you see here in the options, we now allow the stacking by item type. You can specify item types, and if they and you allow them by type. In the previously, we only allowed stacking restrictions by loading surface, but and the loading weight. But now we have some general stacking constraints you can set independently. So now you are able to stack item type 3 on top of item type 2, and you can set those as you like. You can say I allow stacking type 1 on top of itself, and then you will plan that accordingly, again, like reduced loading meters or layered. But this stacking constraints really have a major effect when you have the reduced loading meters planning, and you can then apply those stacking restrictions as you like. The next is we also support now the sequencing support. The idea behind that is that you have your predefined stops, and those are defined by your tour planning. You've previously done tour planning, and so you have a set of items you need to unload in a certain sequence following your stops. And now you can define which items, how many of each item you want to unload on the particular stop, and you will then your xload will then put the unloading order into account and get your result like that. So that's the two new constraints or new features in our loading optimization module. That's from the feature side of the 2.12. I'll now hand over to Isabel.
Thanks. So I have one topic from xServer Internet, and we do have a test system for the world city map available since May, beginning of May, and this new cluster with the world city map with API version 2 is special because it had worldwide coverage and minimal net latency, because there are two equal deployments in Europe and North America. So we have the world map hosted in Europe and North America, and you decide on the URL scheme which you're using, if you're using directly one data center or if you use the routed URL and get routed to the nearest or fastest data center. And the third benefit is we now provide high performance routing networks for the Europe part in the world map. So we provide these standard profiles. Can we just open the developer blog post, please?
Of course. Sure.
So just
hop over the.
Yeah. So we have prepared a blog post for the when the test system did go live. So there are the essential information in it. So the benefits are shown here, and then here are some facts about the high performance routing. So we have prepared search graphs or high performance routing networks for the 3 truck profiles. So the truck 40 ton, 1199 and 749. And if you like to use this predefined standard networks, you have to specify some things in the request. So if you scroll down at the bottom of the post, we have prepared down here. We have prepared some example requests, which you can just copy and paste in our raw request runner to test it. You have to specify the stored profile. So just scroll up a little bit. The stored profile has to be set in the request, and you have to set that you like to use high performance routing, and you have to set the allowed countries, so the geographic restrictions. And if you do all that, then you can use the high performance routing in routing and in distance calculation. So the productive system is planned for today. It will go live this afternoon, and then we will reroute the North America and Europe cluster for xServer 2 to this new world map cluster. So the our other two will be shut down. So we will only have this world map cluster in Europe and North America.
Yeah, but that's a silent change,
yeah.
So you won't notice anything. You will
right.
You will get rerouted, and yeah. Everything's fine.
Right, reroute, yeah. And I already informed customers using these clusters about this change. Okay, let's jump back to the slides. One other thing to announce is we will have a relaunch of our cloud developer guide. So the old one will be replaced soon in the next weeks. This or next week, we will see. I think next week. And just have a look at the new design. We have a new structure, though we have only 5 menu points. So getting started section, when you start using xServer Internet, you get all the information teasered in short capitals, and the to test your token, and so all steps you need to get ready for productive, or for your first application, you can find in this getting starting section. And then we have some essential information where you can find all the information which explains xServer Internet in general, and yes, all the information about which API versions we provide, how the authentication is, and so on. And then we have this cluster overview, like we have in the old developer guide as well. It's just a mock-up. It's not finalized at the moment, so that will be changed. But can you scroll down, please?
Of course.
Down, down, not click, down, scrolling. Yeah, so there we have listed all map clusters for API version 1 with all the links you know already. And if we scroll down further, then we have the API version 2. And in the future, so next week, we'll only have the world city map here because the other clusters will be
redundant.
Yeah. So, and I will inform via blog post when the new dev guide is live, and I hope maybe we get a little feedback what to improve. But I think the structure is now way better than before. So that's so far from xServer Internet and developer guide.
Okay.
There was one question from the chat regarding xServer Internet. Would you say some words about this, or is it already answered from your point of view?
No, it's not answered right now. I just read it.
What's the question?
The question is it planned to offer HPR graphs for customer profiles in the cloud in the future? At the moment, it's not planned. We are limited with the graphs we provide, so we will at first focus on the standard graphs, standard profiles, but when maybe we should talk with customers to find out what is wrong with the standard things and then find a solution. But it's not planned to have customer specific HPR graphs for now. I hope this answers the question.
Okay, then we'll go a bit further and have a glimpse in the future. What we're working on right now is the next release, of course. The 2.13 release is planned for end of June, and we will have some additional xLoad refinements. So we're still working on that, refining that. And the version after that, the 2.14 release, will be available or is planned for August. And the focus on this release will be the single field geocoding and routing with break and rest tools. So, and later in 2019, we are working on a detailed toll format for Europe. We already have detailed toll for North America. And in the background, we changed the toll format for Europe to allow things like different payment methods or different or enhanced vehicle types. And that's also a prerequisite for our cost optimized routing feature, which we also plan to have in later 2019, autumn or late 2019. Those are the topics we're currently working on. among others.
Yeah, so that's it for the moment.
Yeah, that's it for this session.
Yeah.
Thank you very much from our side. Of course, if you have some question, now is the time. If you're curious how to get your xServer, just go to xserver.ptvgroup.com, and in your customer area, you are able to download the 2.12 release already. Or, of course, it's deployed on xServer Internet. Everything we said will be deployed at least today on the productive system. It's already on the test system for an amount of time now.
Okay. Thank you.
So thank you very much again, and see you on our next release.